What if I told you that you've been playing Surge wrong this entire time? This video features the best tips and tricks to help you play the souped up soda fountain Surge. Alright, so to start off this guy, let's go and talk about Surge's main attack, Juice of Justice. Surge fires a shot of juice that splits in two at right angles when it hits an enemy. Each of the split shots will deal half the damage and will have half the supercharge of the initial shot. When upgraded to stage 2 with this super, Surge's attack range increases. His attack splits into 6 projectiles instead of 2 at stage 3, with 3 projectiles firing in a wide arc on each side. These split shots continue on their trail for an additional 4 tiles. Now when using Surge's main attack, I really recommend to be cautious when using up his ammo. Surge's reload speed is slow because it takes 2 full seconds in order to charge another bar of ammo, so you don't want to be wasting it unless you need to check bushes or try to fend off lane. This is especially true when you are still on your default stage because you can't play aggressively whatsoever. Now what's also very cool about Surge's main attacks is that they split, so take advantage of that. Since you can deal more damage whenever the projectiles split, this is going to help you not only prevent the enemies from grouping up together, but this will help you charge up your super faster. So target groups of enemies if you can to get value out of every attack. Now in order to counter Surge's main attack, I would just try your best to stay out of the attack range. Especially when the game has just started and everybody on your team can outrange Surge, do not feed Surge his stages. You want to keep Surge on that default stage as long as possible so you can keep his attack range short and his movement speed extremely slow as long as you can. Okay, that's going to be for Surge's main attack. Let's go to talk about his super party tricks. Surge flies up into the air, traveling up to 3.33 tiles forward, knocking enemies back, and dealing damage in a small radius upon landing. In addition, Surge becomes upgraded and his appearance is altered each time he upgrades. Surge's upgrades will reset if he is defeated. Now one of the most critical and important tips when playing Surge and using his super is that you have to be getting them as quickly as you can. It's super important that you're trying to get that first stage as fast as humanly possible. Surge needs that speed boost from the upgrade so he can get within range of the enemies much easier. Just in general, every single upgrade makes Surge even better, so you want to be unlocking these as soon as you can. Now another cool thing about Surge's super is that you can use it to jump over obstacles or walls. Ever since they reworked Surge's super where you can aim where you want to jump, this has made Surge so much more versatile. You can jump over obstacles to surprise throwers that are trying to camp and hide, or you can even use your super to land on any brawler in general that is low and trying to heal up. Now there are actually multiple different ways that you can use Surge's super. So you know how I just stated how you can jump onto enemies that are hiding behind obstacles, right? Well, even when there are no obstacles in the way, use your super to land directly on top of the enemies. This will allow you to not only deal 2000 damage when you land, but you can also knock back and disarm the enemy too. This will put them in a slight hit stun and give you ample time to unload all of your ammo for a kill. Now a more unique way of using Surge's super is to use it to jump away from the enemies. Now yes, you can use your super for aggressive plays, but it can even be used passively. If you were low and being pressured hard by the enemies, use your super to jump away from all the chaos to stay alive. It's better to stay alive and not give up full control because it will make it that much harder to retake lane or mid if you lose control completely. Now one of my personal favorite ways of using Surge's super is to dodge incoming projectiles. This kinda goes with using Surge's super more passively, but this can truly come in clutch. If there is something hurling towards you and you need to dodge it quickly in order to stay alive, try your best to time your jump so that you are in the air while the projectile passes you. This is something that will take practice since you need to know the speed of the enemy's projectiles, but it's a very efficient way of baiting the enemies to waste whatever they got. Now as odd as this sounds, you can actually charge your super by using your super. What I mean by this is that when you land on top of your target or targets, for each brawler you land on, you will charge 17% of your next super. This can help you speedrun to your next stage and make all the difference to getting fully upgraded. Every piece of supercharge counts, so try your best to land on the enemies when you can. Now just because you can use your super to land on top of the enemies, it doesn't mean you should be doing it every single time. Obviously you want to know your matchup and understand scenarios when it's good or bad to jump onto the enemy. For example, don't be jumping on a Shelly that has her super because you'll get blown to hell, but you should jump on anybody that has under 2000 health because you will obviously kill them. Now something the more experienced Surge players do is that when they're being pressured by an aggro brawler, they are spamming that super button. Like if you know you're going to be able to get your super within the next couple shots, just spam your super button. This way you can totally surprise the enemy, stage up, and land directly on top of them for more damage. stage. You don't have to always aim your super for it to be effective, it always depends on the situation. Now obviously Surge can only go up to 3 stages, so once you get to that max stage, just save your super. Since you can't stage up past the 3rd level, you should only be using your super to jump onto the enemies or in a passive scenario. It should not be wasted on doing nothing and getting no value, so use the tips I stated above on how to effectively use your super and apply those when you are fully staged up. Now another time when I recommend saving your super is when you're about to die. Sometimes you can get trigger happy and want to use your super when you're in a tough fight, I get it. However, if you understand and know that you could possibly die, just save your super so you can stage up after you respawn. This will help you out in the long run and make it easier to get revenge on the enemy that killed you. Now if you want a tip on how to counter Surge's super, I would recommend just staying the hell away from him. If you fed Surge's stage, you are basically screwed. It is going to be so much easier for him to stage up once he gets upgraded once, so you need to try and stay outside of his attack range. Don't try and hide behind anything because Surge can just jump right over it, and just try your best to not feed Surge any more supers. But okay, that's going to be it for Surge's super. Let's go and talk about his gadgets, but the first one I want to talk about is Power Surge. Upon activation, Surge's stage is instantly increased by 1 for the next 10 seconds. Surge cannot use this gadget if he is at stage 3. Now this gadget is actually pretty good because it makes playing Surge on that default stage more bearable. Since it's extremely difficult to get that first stage, sometimes by using the gadget and instantly getting that upgrade will make it easier for you to get the ball rolling early on. The most gruesome part of playing Surge in the early game is getting that first stage, so this gadget will really help out all of you out there that struggle with this problem. Now another time I'd recommend running this gadget is when you're facing 3 enemies that fully outrange you. Now I wouldn't recommend playing Surge on opened up maps to begin with, but hey, you guys live your own lives. However, if you are playing on a more open up map and the enemies are staying outside of your attack range, running this gadget and increasing your movement speed or attack range can make a huge difference. Now as far as using the gadget in the game, I would recommend activating it right before you go aggro. If you see an opportunity and want to capitalize on it, use the gadget with a full bar of ammo to try to get your next stage and possibly more. Since you can keep that upgrade for 10 whole seconds, get the most out of it by targeting higher health brawlers or groups of brawlers that have a higher chance of feeding you more supers. Now the downside with running this gadget is you technically don't really need it after that first stage. Granted, yes, you can still use it after you respawn, so you can have that stage 2 upgrade with a longer attack range or the stage 3 upgrade with the main attack splitting into 6 projectiles, right? But the main point of using this gadget is to help you get that first stage. All the enemies have to do is stay away from you for those 10 seconds, not feed you your super, and you're cooked. But okay, that's gonna be it for Power Surge. Let's go to talk about his other gadget, Power Shield. When activated, Surge will gain a special shield that lasts for 2 seconds. The next time he takes damage, he only receives 50% of that damage and instantly reloads 2 ammo. Now this is the superior gadget you have to be running with Surge. This is going to be great to tank incoming damage, kind of like Nani's return to sender gadget, right? Now even though it doesn't return the damage back to the enemy, instead you'll be getting 2 bars of ammo for free. This is going to be so clutch when in a pinch and you need more ammo to burst down those higher health brawlers. Especially with Surge's slow reload speed, I mean, I love this gadget. What's also great about this gadget is it can help you stage up even faster. Think about it, when being pressed hard by tanks and assassins, you can pop this gadget, reduce some of the damage being dealt, and be given 2 bars of ammo to deal more damage. This can ultimately help you charge up your next super if you can connect with your attacks, and just help you obliterate the enemy in seconds. Now I'm gonna be straight with you guys, this gadget is kinda hard to counter, which makes Surge even more broken. The gadget only stays active for 2 seconds, so I would normally recommend just not attacking the enemy for the next 2 seconds. However, really good Surge players will activate the gadget after you already fired your attack and can tank it for some free ammo. So what you should do is just get Surge to use up all of his gadgets early on in the game, so as things get tighter down the stretch, he won't have any gadgets to give him more ammo. But okay, that's gonna be for Surge's gadgets. Let's go to talk about his star powers, but the first one I want to talk about is Serve Ice Cold. After using one super, Surge will respawn with his stage 1 upgrade instead of reverting back to his initial stage if he gets defeated. Now this star power is going to be great when you're playing in anything that is not a solo game mode. Think about it, whenever you're respawning and you get to already start with that first stage, that's just going to be a huge boost to help you gain pressure. Since you won't have to restart and get that first stage all over again, it's gonna help you guys just continue where you left off and hopefully help you get fully maxed out. Now, Serve Ice Cold is pretty self-explanatory, so let's go and move on to the next star power. That's gonna be for Serve Ice Cold. Let's go to talk about Surge's second star power to the max. Surge's main attack now also splits if it hits an obstacle such as walls and map borders. Now, the only time where I'd recommend using this star power is in solo game modes where you can't respawn. Game modes such as Solo Showdown are gonna be more ideal to run to the max. In Solo Showdown, once you die, you're done, so there's no point in using Serve Ice Cold there. It's better value-wise to use to the max in Showdown, so you can just split your attacks off of obstacles to help you stage up as fast as you can. Now, you can try to use to the max in 3v3s, but I would never recommend it over Serve Ice Cold. On paper, this star power sounds pretty good, right? Like, if you can shoot off walls or obstacles and have the attack split to hit the enemy, that can really surprise them. But realistically, you won't ever see the pros using this star power over Serve Ice Cold in competitive. Like, this star power is way too nichely used, if used at all. And the main reason why you guys should not be using this star power is because it's very easy to counter. As long as you stay away from walls, don't give Surge the chance to hit you when the shots split, this star power is totally useless. Even better, if you have a wall breaker on your team, then you can just destroy as many walls as you can, open up the map, and really make this star power suck. But okay, that's gonna be it for Surge's star powers. Let's go and talk about his Hypercharge level 5. When activated, Surge upgrades to a 4th stage, giving his shots even more range than stage 3 and causing them to split every time. He also gains a 15% speed boost, a 15% damage boost, as well as a 5% shield boost. Now, this Hypercharge is the sole reason why Surge is now one of the best and most broken brawlers in the entire game. The Hypercharge essentially turned Surge into his original form when he was first released. In case you new players didn't know, when Surge was first released, his shots would split even when they wouldn't hit a wall or anything. It was just so broken that they changed Surge to what he is now. But now with this Hypercharge, it's like him in 2020 all over again, but it's even more broken. Now, the thing that I actually like about this Hypercharge is that it's very unique in where it actually changes a brawler's main attack and not their super. This Hypercharge changes Surge's main attack by having his shots have even more range and split no matter what. The amount of damage it does is just completely bonkers, and the dev team needs to nerf this Hypercharge ASAP Rocky. Alright, so the recommended build you guys gotta use for Surge is running the Power Shield gadget, the Serve Ice Cold star power. The first gear I'm gonna recommend is gonna be the damage gear. Surge doesn't have a whole ton of health, so running damage and dropping below that health, especially against aggro brawlers, can come in handy with finishing off those enemies. And then finally, you have to be using the speed gear. Running the speed gear because Surge is so slow, and using him on bushy maps to get that increased movement speed will just help him close down the distance and get those enemies down. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that video, I highly recommend you just go check out this video right here.